Okay, well, I even use it sometimes. But do we really have to shift for it? And I mean, whether I have to switch from the traditional banks, can the actual traditional banks compete in this segment, or do they have to adapt to this? So it's a broad question, and I want you to think like broad about this. It's not any type of focus that I'm hearing for. But for me, the essence lays in between the traditional banking system and the smart payment system. And I don't see the point how they can actually interact with each other, because what I'm seeing is a kind of a myth that a bank tells you, well, okay, we usually allow this and this and that, but it's either one brand, it's either one project that offers you totally smart payment, or it's the traditional banking segment that forces you to stick with them. So what's your take on this? However you prefer, whoever has the biggest idea right now to expose it, you can actually raise the hand and go for it. If you don't have it, then we'll go starting from Maksim, and then we'll start going like this, if you prefer.
Yep. Hi. Look, the thing is that traditional banks are using the same technologies in terms of payments, the same systems, and so on. The question you're asking and is more about the attitude and the working working strategy and technology with the client, because payments, SEPA payments, and all the other payments, they are provided with all the in all the banks and all the payment and financial systems the same way. Uh, Financial institutions, new one with the smart payments, they are more technological in terms of providing online services. You don't need to go to the office to send the money. You just can do everything online and so on. Most of the old-fashioned banks are trying to offer such services, but they are moving very slowly. A lot of banks still in Liechtenstein, in Luxembourg, they do not have even apps for your smartphones for making payments and so on. So in that case, of course, old-fashioned banks are one step or even two steps behind, but the technology is the same. So if they will implement these online technologies into their already existing technology with the individual approach for every client, with the client's managers and so on. So of course, old-fashioned banks are still ruling the world, and they will always rule the world. They need just to be more integrated in the reality. The payment systems, yes, they are providing online services. They are fast, they are smart, but they do not have such an experience in terms of working with the clients individually. They have their manuals, internal manuals, and for example, if they do not understand the sense and the nature of the business, or if the business is not so common, they just refuse. So a lot of clients are migrating between banks and payment systems, and they still suffer problems. So my idea is the combination of nowadays technologies and old-fashioned in terms of attitude to the client, because if you're not client oriented, you will not be you will not be able to succeed in that case. Clients are very selective right now, and if you cannot provide apps, very use very simple, uh, very simple payments, and other options, balance statements, and so on and so on. If you need to order that, if you need to print it, if you need to contact your manager asking him to provide you just the regular bank statement, of course, clients will not stay with that bank. So, old-fashioned and new technologies combination, and this is the new impact on the market.
All right, all right. I'm getting the feeling. Yeah, sorry. I'm like feeling like I'm the fourth speaker right now. So I really got into this. So I'm really excited. Like I have also something to share with you with this. For me, it's getting the feeling like it's about Apple, Samsung. Remember the war that they used to have before, and then they were like so split, and everybody was claiming that their own technology. But then by the end of the day, we get the fact that Samsung is exporting their LCDs and their panels to the Apple, and everybody is happy about this. So I get this feeling regarding the banking segment as well with the smart payment solutions. They're acting like they really do not know each other, but in the same case, they're really pushing. I mean, from the authority point of view, banks are like going crazy because they know they have that power, you know, like they're very historical. They know they got this type of audience. And then there's a small percentage of people who are actually like, you know, those who are not comfortable with the system that they are being offered, and they they look at the smart payments and they say, okay, well, this is a solution for me, but they can't switch to this because of the lack of exposure, let's say, to this, because they lack of that kind of power to expose themselves on the mass market. So my guess is that it's just there's some type of war right now happening, like like between the lines, some type of conflict, that they barely want to interact with each other. As I mean, from my opinion, I might be wrong with this, but this is the picture that I'm seeing, like from the perspective. So what do you think about this, Guido?
Yeah, first, hello, mic on. First of all, I'm from Switzerland and we don't like wars. So any war has not to be there. And Switzerland is really a nice area where a lot of blockchain development is done and a lot of banks are established. Switzerland is known for banks. So first of all, we don't solve it with wars, we solve it with the better against the less better, the faster against the more slow one. If you go now to blockchain, we have to divide in two parts. One part are banks just using blockchain or just using payment systems and using blockchain technology for single aspects. Like I said in my speech before, if you take a single aspect, you just make a payment on blockchain because it's nice, because you want to have people to spend some money or to invest some money in a wallet with some Bitcoin, and then you transfer it back to your normal account. But this is not blockchain. This is a small part, and this might be okay, but it will not lead a bank in a leading position for the future. These are banks who will be removed after a while because they are stuck in their old system. They are highly regulated, not only from outside, also from inside. If you see banks, for example, in Zug, they had 4 to 5 compliance officers about 3 years ago. Now they have 200, so they block themselves wherever they can, and they are centralized and they cannot survive. So if they want to survive, they need to decentralize themselves. They need to really take blockchain not only for the customer, also for all internal transactions, to verify them, to make it happen, to see the client again in the focus, to structure it, but also not to forget to have human beings on it. Because I don't believe in no technology wherever on this planet where the human being is totally excluded. I had about 40, 50 times during my last year the answer at somewhere, sorry mister, the system doesn't allow it. This is a shit technology. If you have programmed it, and the consultants who have done a very bad job, because at least it goes around human beings and people, and also in the banking sector. So you see now the new banks coming up, like Seba, like Bitcoin Swiss with the banking license. Soon you see smaller banks like Falcon Bank. You see the Kaiser and Frick Bank, Frick in Liechtenstein, the 1031 in Germany. These are banks who understood the way has to change the bank. So they are changing slowly the bank internally, a smaller unit, fully on blockchain technology. And they are in talks with all the regulators. So we have a strong community in Switzerland talking to FINMA and the authorities. We have a couple of banks in Germany already asking BaFin to get blockchain cryptocurrencies on board. So there's some movement in it because they understand that the system you cannot stop. Yeah? People said when the train was established, we don't need a vehicle which drives with more than 40 kilometers an hour somewhere. Or the IBM founder was that we need only 5 computers on the world. Yeah? And the authorities in Switzerland are very innovative and future orientated, so they understood that they have to allow it. And as soon as they allow it, and the same with BaFin, who sees that for Germany, on the innovation, it's an important topic. Even if in Germany you have the fights, the Germans are more fighting. Since I'm 11 years in Switzerland, I came more to the non-fighting part. But there you have some fights. But at least they also understood you cannot go on. And if you go to European Union, to INATBA, where we also are part of this organization, there's also the the fear of blockchain combined with the future where they see they need it. So they will align it, and then the banks who have been in the second row and said no, we stay with our old system, they will exactly experience the performance what other projects in technology changes have done. They will either disappear or go to a second row. You have to understand also, for a bank, a small loan of 5,000 is a lot of administration work and gives no benefit. I did the same example for insurance. So if a bank comes to the future, the bank has to say, no, it's a benefit for me. Not only the technology, also, I could go via blockchain and leave the lady here in front line to play a bank for small loans to this gentleman and this gentleman over there, and the bank is just supplying you the money, yeah, for it. So you are then a bigger client, and they have nothing to do with the small loans, but they can do it. But this needs a little bit more time.
All right. All right.
No, I think you can't hear me right now. Now you can hear me. Great. Okay. I think there are three things. I think the first thing is like people or users. They don't care about if the money is a national currency or if it's a digital currency in the sense of it being a Bitcoin or whatever. They don't care. Because you come to a country, you use the currency, whatever you have to use, and it's fine. You want it to work, you want to pay your coffee or whatever. That's one thing. Second thing is, of course, you want to pay with your mobile phone. You don't want to go around with the money and change money and to pay with a taxi or a coffee or whatever. You want to pay with some kind of digital device. That's for sure. And I think the third thing why the banks, traditional banks will suffer a lot is because of the business structure. It's like they don't have these automated smart contracts, etc., to execute whatever it is, whatever service it is. So it's not a problem actually of being a bank or a bank itself. It's a company of like being a big structure that consumes a lot of money. That we said to give a loan in a bank costs you so much money. Give a loan on with a digital platform, it's actually the cost is close, I wouldn't say zero, but it's very, very, very low. So that's like three things that it doesn't really have to do with if it's so much better or they have to adapt. I think there's so much more structural things. And I think, but the real game changer, in my point of view, it's not like if we're going to choose to pay with Bitcoin or a national digital currency. I think the game changer here, because people really actually don't care, and I think many people and many companies will feel comfortable, for example, to have a digital euro or Swedish, we use the krona, is going to be now, I think, as the first currency in Europe being actually digitalized. Is very, very advanced project. So that's actually making it more useful for the end users and for all these kind of transactions. But the game changer is not using it only as a representative, representing money as an asset or whatever it is. In the national currencies, you trust the government that they will pay back the money, and that's the reason why actually you still keep your money in the bank with using a euro or something. But in the digital currency, you trust something else like the system or whatever it is. But the game changer is when you're going to be able to, or actually you apply programmable money, like for governments, for citizens, or for any entity, when they start to use the money in the way that we can say where the money can be spent, by whom the money can be spent, in what circumstances they can be spent, in what relations they can be spent. As you can spend this if you spend that, or you can spend this if you have paid your taxes. But maybe if you have not paid your taxes, you can't spend your money. So this, or if you owe money to somebody, you can spend your money, or if you owe money to some entity. So I really think, if you can back up your money, this same money with some digital assets, then you can do it. And I think that's the real game changer, because if you get your money and your assets on a platform, for example, in developing countries where it's many people, they don't have a bank account, that they won't be able to have a bank account, and it's very expensive to have a bank account, but maybe they need a machine to harvest or something. They can actually say, okay, I have digitalized my assets, which is land, and then I can automatically use that as a guarantee for getting that loan for a tractor, for anybody. So this possibility to program money and to use it in conditional context, I think that's the game changer. And I think the other thing is just like technicalities. And that's the big issue that we really have to find a way how to do this. And in a way that is stable, trustable, and so on.
Right.
And if it's the governments that will do it, or if it's the private entities, or both, probably I would